The rain fell like bullets on the marble driveway of the Banana Island mansion. I stood there, my old wrapper clinging to my body, my head tie dripping water down my wrinkled face. In my trembling hands, I clutched a small Ghana must-go bag containing everything I owned. "Security! Please escort this woman off the premises," my son's wife, Ngozi, said through the intercom, her voice sharp as broken glass. "She's disturbing our guests." I looked up at the massive windows of the 3-story building, hoping to see my Chikwuti's face. My son, the boy I had carried on my back while selling akara by the roadside, the child I had bathed with tears and raised with prayers after his father died. The ornate gate began to close. "Chikwuti!" I screamed, my voice cracking. "Chikwuti, it's your mother." Then I saw him. He appeared at the balcony in his expensive agbada, gold watch glinting even in the dim light. Our eyes met. For a moment, I saw the little boy who used to hold my hand and promise, "Mama, when I grow up, I will build you a palace." But this man on the balcony was not that boy. "Mother," he called down, his voice flat and emotionless, "maybe it's best if you go back to where you belong. This lifestyle, it's not for you. We'll send you money every month." The words hit me harder than any physical blow, harder than the hunger I had endured to feed him, harder than the sleepless nights. I had worked 3 jobs to pay his school fees at the University of Lagos. "Where I belong," I whispered, then louder, my voice rising above the thunder. "Where I belong wherever my son is. I am your mother." Ngozi appeared beside him, her Brazilian hair perfect even in the humidity. She whispered something in his ear, and he nodded. "The security will give you transport money," he said, then turned his back and walked inside. Just like that. 32 years of sacrifice dismissed with a wave of his hand. I stood there as a security guard, a young man who couldn't even look me in the eye, pressed 2,000 naira into my palm. The gate clanged shut with a finality that echoed through my chest. As I walked away from that mansion in the rain, I turned back one last time. Through the enormous windows, I could see the chandeliers sparkling, the guests in their expensive clothes laughing, celebrating my son's latest business deal. Nobody noticed the old woman walking away in the storm. But I noticed something they didn't know. I noticed that the very ground that mansion stood on, the land they celebrated their wealth upon, belonged to me. The documents were locked safely in my old apartment in Ajigunle, the land my late husband had bought decades ago, when Banana Island was just a dream, was now worth hundreds of millions of naira. I smiled through my tears. "You think money is everything?" I said to the rain, to the wind, to God above, "You both will learn. Oh, my children, you will learn what it means to forget where you came from. How did we get here? But to understand how a mother ends up in the rain, cast out by her own flesh and blood, you need to know the whole story. You need to know about the woman I was, the son I raised, and the seeds I planted that would one day shake the very foundation of that mansion. Let me take you back to where it all began. Hello, guys. Welcome to my Africantales. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And most important thing, turn your notification bell so you can get informed when I drop another amazing story. Drop your thoughts and reactions in the comments. What would you do if your spouse tried to kill you and you survive? Will you take a revenge or disappear forever? 25 years earlier, Ajigunle, Lagos. The cockroach ran across my sleeping mat, and I didn't even flinch. When you've lived in Ajigunle as long as I had, you learn to share your space with creatures both seen and unseen. It was 4 a.m., and I was already awake, preparing for another day of hustling in the streets of Lagos. My husband, Chikwuti Sr., had been dead for 3 months. Malaria, they said, though I suspected it was the stress of trying to provide for his family, that truly killed him. He left me with 3 things. A 7-year-old son, a piece of undeveloped land he bought on a swampy island nobody wanted, and a mountain of debt. I looked at my Chikwuti sleeping peacefully on the only mattress we owned. His school uniform hung on a nail on the wall, washed and pressed even though it had more patches than original fabric. He was brilliant, my son. His teacher said he had the mind of an engineer, a natural gift for mathematics and building things. But brilliance doesn't fill an empty stomach. I strapped him on my back with my wrapper and headed to the market before sunrise. I had borrowed money from the local cooperative society to buy ingredients for making akra and puff puff, while other children his age were still sleeping. Chakudi would wake up at dawn to help me fry bean cakes before school. "Mama, when I grow big," he would say between yawns, "I will make plenty money and buy you a big house. You will never fry akra again. Focus on your studies," I would tell him, fighting back tears. "That is the only inheritance I can give you." Years blurred together in a haze of sweat, hustle, and prayer. I sold akra at dawn, worked as a cleaner in a bank during the day, and braided hair at night. When Chakudi gained admission to study computer science at the University of Lagos, I sold my only gold jewelry, the necklace my mother gave me on my wedding day. The local cooperative society wanted their money back. The loan shark, who had given me additional funds for Chakudi's textbooks, threatened to disgrace me in market. But I held on. I held on because that boy was my life, my reason for breathing. And Chakudi didn't disappoint. He graduated with first-class honors. He got a job at an oil company. Then he started his own tech business. Something about software and applications that I didn't fully understand, but praise God for nonetheless. Within 5 years, my son was a millionaire. Within 8 years, he was featured in magazines as one of Nigeria's youngest tech entrepreneurs. I was so proud I could burst. Then he met Ngozi at a business conference in Abuja. She was everything I was not. Educated abroad, spoke English with a British accent, wore heels that cost more than my monthly income. She was from a wealthy family in Victoria Island, the kind of people who had never known the inside of a Danfo bus. When Chakudi brought her to meet me in my modest 2-room apartment in Ajigunle, I saw the way her nose wrinkled. I saw the way she touched nothing, afraid my poverty was contagious. But I smiled and welcomed her because she made my son happy. Or so I thought. The wedding was grand. Too grand. Chakudi had rented the Oriental Hotel on Victoria Island, and over 500 guests attended. I wore my best ankara and sat in the front row, beaming with pride as my son married the woman he loved. But I noticed the whispers. I noticed how Ngozi's family sat on one side, dripping in designer clothes and expensive perfume, while my side of the family, market women, mechanics, tailors from Ajigunle, sat on the other. We were worlds apart, separated by more than just an aisle. After the wedding, things changed slowly, then rapidly. At first, Chakudi would visit me every Sunday with his new wife. But Ngozi would stay in the car, claiming the stairs to my apartment hurt her feet in heels. Then the visits became twice a month, then once a month, then phone calls that lasted 2 minutes. "Mama, I'm busy. The business is expanding. I'll see you soon." 2 years into marriage, they moved to Banana Island. Chakudi sent me pictures of the mansion. 6 bedrooms, a swimming pool, marble floors, golden fixtures. My heart swelled with pride and broke at the same time. My son had made it, but he was drifting away. "Come and see the house, Mama," he said on the phone. "Come this Saturday. We're having a small housewarming." I was so excited. I woke up early, bathed, and wore my best wrapper and blouse. I even had my hair plaited at the salon, spending money I had been saving. I wanted to look presentable for my son's wealthy friends. The estate security almost didn't let me in. They looked at my yellow Danfo bus with suspicion, questioning me 3 times before calling Chakudi to confirm. When I finally arrived at the mansion, my jaw dropped. It was like something from a movie. But my joy died the moment Ngozi opened the door. "Mama," her voice was fake sweet, her smile not reaching her eyes. "You came in that?" She gestured at my outfit with barely concealed disgust. "I wore my best clothes," I said, suddenly feeling small. She looked me up and down, then sighed dramatically. "Come inside quickly. Guests will be arriving soon." Inside, the house was breathtaking. Chandeliers, leather sofas, artwork on the walls. But Ngozi led me straight through to the kitchen. "You can stay here, Mama," she said. "You'll be more comfortable. The party is really for Chakudi's business associates, and, well, you know," I knew I didn't fit. Chakudi appeared, looking uncomfortable. "Mama, welcome." He hugged me briefly. His expensive cologne overwhelming. Didn't Ngozi offer you food? Your mother's fine in the kitchen, Ngozi interrupted, her hand possessively on his arm. Baby, Mr. Adebayo from the bank just arrived. We need to greet him. They left me in the kitchen with the caterers, who looked at me with pity. I stayed there for 3 hours, listening to laughter and music from the living room, watching strangers celebrate in my son's house while I hid like a shameful secret. When I finally told Chikwudi I was leaving, he barely looked up from his conversation with a group of men in expensive suits. Okay, Mama. Safe journey. I'll call you. He didn't walk me out. He didn't call that week. Or the next. The humiliation had only just begun. 6 months later, I decided to visit unannounced. I had sold some of my market goods and bought expensive fruits, golden melons, imported apples, grapes. I wanted to surprise them, to show Ngozi that I too could bring nice things. The security recognized me this time and let me in. But when I reached the door, I heard voices inside. Your mother cannot keep showing up like this. Chikwudi, do you know what people will think? She's my mother, Ngozi. She's embarrassing. Last time, Mrs. Okonkwo saw her and asked me if she was a help. The help. I had to explain that she was your mother, and you should have seen the look on her face. What do you want me to do? Talk to her. Make her understand that this lifestyle requires a certain standard. She can't keep coming here in those local wrappers, smelling like palm oil and sweat. It reflects poorly on us, on your brand. I stood frozen at the door, the bag of fruits suddenly heavy in my hands. She sacrificed everything for me, Chikwudi said, but his voice was weak. And you've paid her back. Ngozi snapped. You bought her a flat in Ajigunle. You send her money every month. What more does she want? My friends are asking questions. Chikwudi, is your husband's mother really from Ajigunle? It's humiliating. Silence. Then my son's voice, so quiet I almost didn't hear it. I'll talk to her. I turned and left without knocking. I left the fruits at the gate. I took a bus back to Ajigunle with tears streaming down my face, not caring who saw. But I didn't cry for long. That night, I opened the old metal box under my bed. Inside were documents my late husband had left, land titles, property papers, his will. I had kept them safe for decades, never imagining I would need them. The biggest document of all was for a large parcel of land on what was now called Banana Island. Back then, it was swampland nobody wanted. My husband bought it for almost nothing, planning to build a family home someday. He died before he could. I ran my fingers over the faded paper, over the official stamps and signatures. Then I smiled. The mansion my son was so proud of, the home where his wife found me too shameful to enter, it sat on my land. The developer who sold them that plot had been leasing for me for 20 years through a property management company. I had been receiving small payments, not knowing what the land had become. But now I knew, and I had plans. I didn't tell anyone about the land documents. Not yet. First, I needed to understand exactly what I owned and what it was worth. I took the papers to my late husband's younger brother, Uncle Emeka, who had become a lawyer. He lived in Surulere, and his small law office was cluttered with files and dusty law books. Adana, he embraced me warmly. It's been too long. How is my nephew treating you? I couldn't meet his eyes. That's why I'm here. I placed the documents on his desk. I need to know what these mean. Uncle Emeka put on his reading glasses and studied the papers. His eyes widened. He looked up at me, then back at the documents, then at me again. Adana, do you know what you have here? Old land papers. Old land papers? He laughed, but it was a shock laugh. This is the title to 2,500 square meters of prime Banana Island property. Do you know what this is worth? My heart began to race. Tell me. He pulled out a calculator and started typing numbers. Conservative estimate? 400 million naira. Maybe more. And according to these lease agreements, he shuffled through more papers. You've been receiving payments from Sterling Properties Limited for 20 years. They developed this into residential plots. My son's house, I whispered, is on your land, Uncle Emeka finished, along with 15 other properties. Adana, You're not just a landlady. You're wealthy. The room spun. I gripped the edge of his desk. But there's something strange here, Uncle Emeka continued, frowning at a document. Sterling Properties lease expires in 3 months. After that, you have full control. You can renew, renegotiate, or... He looked at me meaningfully. Terminate? What happens if I terminate? Everyone on that land either negotiates directly with you or... He paused. They leave. I thought in Ngozi's voice, she's embarrassing. She reflects poorly on us. I thought of my son turning his back on me in the rain. Uncle Emeka, I said slowly, I want you to send them a notice. All the properties on my land. Tell them the lease expires in 3 months and will not be renewed unless they negotiate new terms with the landowner, me. Uncle Emeka's eyes gleamed. Adana, this will cause chaos. Property values will plummet. People will panic. Your son. My son needs to learn a lesson, I said firmly. His wife needs to learn where wealth really comes from. Not from designer bags and expensive cars, but from the sacrifices of people she considers beneath her. You're sure about this? I remembered standing in the rain. I remembered hiding in the kitchen. I remembered being called embarrassing. I'm sure. Uncle Emeka smiled. Then let me tell you about a few other things. Did you know Sterling Properties owes you over 20 million naira in back payments? They've been underreporting the actual rental values. We can sue. My mind reeled. 20 million naira? And this? Uncle Emeka pulled out another yellowed paper from my box. This is a 10% share certificate in a trading company your husband invested in back in 1985. The company went public in 2010. It's now called Chevron Trade Limited. Your shares are worth approximately 80 million naira. I couldn't breathe. Adana, you've been sitting on a fortune. You've been living in a 2-room apartment, frying akara, struggling, when you've been a multimillionaire all along. Tears filled my eyes, but this time they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of power. My husband, I whispered, he was always planning ahead. He was a wise man, Uncle Emeka agreed. He knew land was forever. He knew investments would grow. He was building a legacy for you in Chukwudi. But somewhere along the way, your son forgot that. I stood up straighter. Then it's time to remind him. Over the next 2 weeks, Uncle Emeka worked quickly. He contacted Sterling Properties, verified all my assets, and prepared legal notices. He also helped me open a proper bank account. I had been keeping my market money in a Colo savings box under my bed. When I saw my actual net worth on paper, I nearly fainted. Including the land, the shares, the back payments, and accrued interest, I was worth over 500 million naira. Mama Dana from Ajigunal, was wealthier than my son, but I didn't want money. I wanted respect. I wanted my son back. The notices went out on a Tuesday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone was ringing nonstop. Unknown numbers, angry property owners, panicked real estate agents. I ignored them all. Then, on Wednesday evening, Chukwudi called. Mama, his voice was strained. Did you send legal papers to our house? I did. Mama, what is this about? It says you own our land, that our lease is expiring. This must be a mistake. It's not a mistake. Silence. Then, Mama, this is our home. You can't. I can't what, Chukwudi? I can't reclaim what belongs to me? The way you couldn't find space for me in that big house. Mama, please, let's talk about this. Come to the house. Come to the house? I laughed bitterly. To hide in the kitchen again? To be called embarrassing. Another silence. Longer this time. You heard that, he said quietly. I heard everything. Mama, I'm sorry. I should have defended you. I should have. You should have remembered who raised you. I interrupted. You should have remembered the woman who fried akara in the rain so you could eat, who cleaned toilets so you could go to university, who sold her wedding necklace so you could have textbooks. I know, Mama. I know. Please, let's meet and talk. Not at the house. Anywhere you want. There's nothing to talk about. Chukwudi. The lease expires in 3 months. If you want to stay in that house, you'll negotiate with me like everyone else. And the price? I paused for effect. The price is not money. Then what is it? You'll find out. I hung up. The news spread through Banana Island like wildfire. Within days, every wealthy resident on my land knew that their properties sat on borrowed ground. Panic set in. Real estate blogs picked up the story. Banana Island land dispute threatens property values. Social media exploded. People who had paid hundreds of millions for their homes discovered they might lose everything. And at the center of it all was me, a simple woman from Adjugunle who had been dismissed, humiliated, and forgotten. The phone calls intensified. Lawyers threatened lawsuits. Wealthy businessmen offer me bribes. One woman offered me 50 million naira to quietly renew the lease and disappear. I refused them all. Uncle Emeka handled the legal side brilliantly. They have no case, he assured me. The title is ironclad. Your husband registered it properly. Sterling Properties' lease is expiring, and you have every right not to renew. But it wasn't just strangers calling anymore. Ngozi called. I let it ring. She called again. And again. On the fifth call, I answered. Mama, please. Her voice was different now. Desperate. Gone was a condescending tone, the fake sweetness. This was raw panic. Please, we can work something out. Just tell us what you want. What I want. I said calmly. I wanted to be treated like a human being. I wanted my son to remember his mother existed. I'm sorry, Mama. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please, don't punish Chikwudi for my mistakes. Chikwudi is a grown man. He made his own choices. We'll pay you anything. Name your price. I don't want your money, Ngozi. Then what? What do you want? I hung up. The truth was, I didn't want revenge. I wanted transformation. I wanted my son to understand that wealth without character is worthless. That success without humility is empty. That you can build a mansion, but if you build it on disrespect, it will crumble. 2 weeks before the lease expired, the pressure became unbearable for them. Chikwidi's business partners started pulling away. We can't be associated with someone in a major legal dispute, they said. News outlets were calling it the Banana Island scandal. Ngozi's family turned on Chikwudi. Her father, a wealthy oil magnate, called him publicly to denounce the embarrassment he had brought to their family name. The irony wasn't lost on me. Then the final blow came. A gossip blog posted, tech entrepreneur Chikwudi Okafor threw out his own mother, the woman who owns his mansion. Someone had leaked the whole story. Pictures of me selling Accra years ago surfaced. Pictures of my humble apartment. Pictures of Chikwidi's massive mansion. The public backlash was instant and brutal. Ungrateful son. After everything his mother sacrificed, this is what's wrong with Nigeria. We get money and forget our roots. Shame on him and his wife. Chikwidi's company lost 3 major contracts in 1 week. Sponsors pulled out of his tech conference. His face, once celebrated in magazines, became a symbol of ingratitude. And Ngozi, her society friends abandoned her. No more champagne brunches. No more exclusive parties. The same women who had encouraged her to distance herself from that local woman now whisper behind her back. I watched it all unfold from my modest apartment, feeling no joy, only sadness. This wasn't the victory I wanted. Uncle Emeka came to visit me with news. Adana, Ngozi has filed for divorce. My heart sank. What? She's claiming she wants to protect her assets. She's leaving Chikwudi now that things are falling apart. The papers were filed yesterday. I sat down heavily. So this was who she truly was. When the going got tough, when the mansion and the lifestyle were threatened, she ran. She never loved my son. She loved what he represented. There's more, Uncle Emeka continued gently. Chikwudi has been trying to reach you. He came to my office yesterday. He looked broken. Adana, he's lost weight. He barely spoke. What did he say? He asked me to beg you to see him. He said he doesn't care about the house anymore. He just wants his mother back. Tears filled my eyes. He's waiting outside, Uncle Emeka said softly. He's been sitting on the stairs for 2 hours, hoping you'd visit my office today. I looked out the window. There, on the concrete steps, sat my son, his expensive suit wrinkled, his head in his hands. He looked like the little boy who used to wait for me to come home from work, who would run to hug me despite my tired, sweaty clothes. "Let him in," I whispered. Uncle Emeka opened the door, and Chikwudi entered. When he saw me, he fell to his knees. "Mama," his voice broke. "Mama, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." He crawled to me and laid his head in my lap, weeping like a child. My strong, successful son reduced to this, not by losing his mansion or his wealth, but by losing his soul, his identity, his respect for the woman who gave him everything. I placed my hand on his head, and my own tears fell. "I forgot, Mama," he sobbed. "I forgot everything you taught me. I forgot who I was. I forgot where I came from. I let wealth blind me. I let shame poison me. I chose status over you, and I have paid for it every single day since that night in the rain." "Chikwudi." "No, let me finish." He looked up at me, his eyes red and swollen. "You were right. Money is not everything. I had millions, but I lost the only treasure that mattered. You. I lost my integrity. I lost myself. And now I've lost everything else too. Ngozi is leaving me. My business is failing. People hate me. And I deserve all of it. You don't deserve." "I do, Mama. I do. But even if I deserve it, I'm begging you. Not for the house, not for the land. I'm begging you to forgive me, to give me a chance to be your son again." I cupped his face in my hands. These hands had worked so hard for him, and I saw not the wealthy man, but my child. "Chikwudi, do you know why I did all this?" "To punish me." "No." I shook my head. "To wake you up. To remind you that real wealth isn't in bank accounts or mansions. It's in character, in loyalty, in remembering who you are and where you came from." "I know that now, Mama. I know." I took a deep breath. The land, the house, they were never really about me wanting to take from you. They were about teaching you that everything you have can be taken away except your character, and that the people who love you truly will stand by you when everything else falls. "And you're still here," he said in wonder. "After everything I did, you're still here. I'm your mother. I'll always be here." 3 days later, I sat in Uncle Emeka's office with Chikwudi across from me. Between us was a new lease agreement for the Banana Island property. "I'm renewing the lease," I announced, "for all the properties, including yours." Chikwidi's eyes widened. "Mama, you don't have to." "But there are conditions," I continued. "Not for you specifically, but for everyone on that land. 30% of the new lease fees will go into a foundation, the Ajigunal Education Foundation. We'll use it to send children from poor families to university, just like I struggled to send you." Uncle Emeka smiled. "That's brilliant, Adana." "And Chikwudi," I turned to my son, "you will run the foundation. You will meet these children. You will hear their stories. You will remember." "Yes, Mama." His voice was thick with emotion. "Yes. As for the house," I said, "I'm signing it over to you permanently. It's yours." "Mama, no." "Let me finish." I held up my hand. "But I want 2 things. First, one room in that house will always be mine. Not to live in, but as a reminder that your mother is always welcome in your home. Second, every Sunday, you will visit me in Ajigunal. Not because I demand it, but because that's where your roots are. That's where you learn the values that made you successful." Chikwudi nodded, tears streaming down his face. "Every Sunday. I promise." "And one more thing," I added. "The money I'm getting from the lease agreements and my other assets, I'm comfortable now. More than comfortable. I'm going to expand my market business. But properly this time. I want to employ other widows, other struggling mothers. I want to give them the opportunities one never had." "I'll help you, Mama," Chikwudi said eagerly. "I'll use my business connections. We can make it the biggest market cooperative in Lagos." I smiled. This was my son. This was the boy I raised. Over the next few months, Chikwudi transformed. He worked tirelessly on the foundation, personally interviewing scholarship candidates. He showed up every Sunday to my apartment, Sometimes in expensive clothes, sometimes in simple jeans, but always with a humble heart. He helped me establish Mama Adana's Market Network, a cooperative that employed over 50 widows and single mothers. He used his tech skills to create an app that connected our market goods directly to customers, cutting out middlemen. Within 6 months, the women were earning 3 times what they had before. As for Ngozi, the divorce went through quickly. She took her share of their joint assets and disappeared from our lives. I heard she remarried within a year, another wealthy man. I prayed for her, that someday she would learn that love and loyalty were worth more than designer bags. Chikwudi didn't remarry immediately. I need to focus on becoming a better man first, he said, before I can be a good husband again. 2 years later, he met Amara, a teacher from Enugu who worked with underprivileged children. She was kind, humble, and when she met me, she hugged me tightly and said, "Thank you for raising such a good man." At their wedding, I wore the most expensive wrapper money could buy, not because I needed to prove anything, but because I finally understood my own worth. And this time, both sides of the family sat together, because Amara's family understood that wealth and status meant nothing compared to character. When Chikwudi and Amara's first child was born, a beautiful baby girl, they named her Adana. "She carries your name, Mama," Chikwudi said, placing the baby in my arms. "So she'll always remember where she comes from. So she'll know that true strength doesn't come from money or status, but from sacrifice, resilience, and love." I looked down at little Adana. Her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and I thought about the journey that brought us here. The pain, the betrayal, the transformation, the redemption. Your grandfather, I told the baby softly, bought land that nobody wanted. He invested when others laughed. He planned for a future he never got to see. Your father forgot these lessons for a while, but he remembered, and now you'll carry them forward. Chikwudi knelt beside me. "Mama, I have something for you." He handed me a set of keys. "What's this?" "Keys to a house. Not the Banana Island mansion. I know you don't want to live there. This is a beautiful home in Lekki, near the water. Big enough for you to host all your market women for meetings. Big enough for Sunday family dinners. Big enough for you to finally rest." I looked at the keys, then at my son. "Chikwudi, I don't need." "I know you don't need it, Mama, but let me do this. Let me give back even a fraction of what you gave me, not to show off, not to prove anything, but because you deserve comfort. You deserve peace. You've earned it 1,000 times over." I took the keys, and I took my son's hand. "You know what I've learned through all of this?" I said, "that God's plans are mysterious. Your father bought that land when we were desperately poor, when it seemed worthless. He died before he could enjoy it. But that worthless land became my weapon and my shield. It humbled you. It protected me. It taught us all what really matters." "What's that, Mama?" "That you can lose money. You can lose status. You can lose everything material. But if you have character, if you have love, if you remember your roots, you have everything." Uncle Emeka, who had been quietly observing, raised his glass of palm wine. "To Adana," he said, "the woman who turned humiliation into education, who turned betrayal into transformation, who proved that the last shall be first, and the humble shall be exalted." We all raised our glasses. As I looked around the room, at my son holding his daughter, at Amar's warm smile, at Uncle Emeka's proud face, at the photographs on the wall showing my journey from adjugal market woman to respected matriarch, I realized something profound. I had won, not because I had money or land, not because I had humiliated those who humiliated me, but because I had got my son back. I had transformed pain into purpose. I had turned a story of rejection into a story of redemption. And isn't that what every mother wants? Not revenge, not riches, just to be loved, respected, and remembered. That night, as I lay in my old apartment one last time before moving to the new house, I thank God for every struggle, every sacrifice, every tear. Because all of it, the accra frying, the cleaning jobs, the sleepless nights, even the rain-soaked betrayal, all of it led to this moment. My son had been lost, but now he was found. My worth had been dismissed, but now it was recognized. My voice had been silenced, but now it was heard. And the land that nobody wanted became the foundation of everything. 5 years have passed since that rainy night on Banana Island. The Ghanian Education Foundation has sent 127 children to university. 12 have already graduated, and 3 are now working in Chikwuti's company. Mama Adana's market network employs 200 women across Lagos, and we're expanding to other states. Chikwuti's tech business recovered stronger than before, but now it's focused on social impact, creating apps and solutions for low-income communities. Little Adana is 5 years old now, and every Sunday, she helps me braid hair for the market women's daughters, learning the value of service and humility. And me? I split my time between my comfortable home in Lekki and my roots in Ajigunle, because no matter how much money I have, no matter how successful the business has become, I'll never forget where I came from. I still fry akara sometimes, not because I have to, but because I want to, because the smell reminds me of my strength, because it reminds my granddaughter that honest work is never shameful. People still talk about the Banana Island scandal, but now they talk about it differently. They call it a lesson, a cautionary tale, a story of redemption. And sometimes, when I see young people who made it big forgetting their parents, forgetting their roots, I share my story. I tell them, money will come and go, success will rise and fall. But family, real family, is forever. Respect your mother, honor your father, remember where you came from. Because the same ground you stand on today might belong to the person you're looking down on. As for Ngozi, I heard she's on her 3rd marriage now, still chasing wealth and status. I pray for her sometimes, not with bitterness, but with genuine hope that one day she'll find what truly matters. My son learned his lesson. My granddaughter will never need to learn it because she's growing up with the right values. And me? I learned that sometimes God keeps you in the valley not to break you, but to strengthen you, not to humiliate you, but to prepare you for elevation. Because when you're finally lifted up, you'll remember what it felt like to be down, and you'll use your position not to look down on others, but to lift them up. That rainy night when I walked away from that mansion, I thought I had lost everything, but I had actually gained everything. I gained my power. I gained my voice, I gained my respect, and most importantly, I gained my son back.